All right, so as we talked about before, I'm going to go over the steps to get this to HDRI setup inside of Unity. This is an HDRI setup, and we're not talking about baking at this time. This is real-time lighting, so it's set up for mix, so we can bake it, but we haven't baked it. It looks pretty good. There's some things we could tweak on it, and that's kind of what we do for a living is tweak. For example, let me just go to the scene here real quick. So it's full 3D, full real time. I can move around. These are all just for one shot, so I'm not really setting up the particles or anything at this point. We're just basically getting in here and setting up some lighting that looks interesting for a HDR setup. I have added some extra lights. Those are just as I felt they needed to be pushed. Since it's HDR, I don't have anything baked, so I need to add a little bit of light back into it. And it looks like this without them. And then, I also turned stuff down when I did them. So anyway, so there's where we are, and let's get on to it. So I'm going to start with a blank canvas. This is a brand new Start 3D, not HDRI. It's just the basic vanilla Unity project setup 3D. I did set up my folders like we always do. Geo, materials inside of that, and then a skybox folder. I brought my material, my geo inside of here, and the textures that it's based off of inside of here. If I looked at my geo, I can see that I've done the basic setups of, well, I guess I haven't set up the generate lighting UV map. When I do decide to light it, at least it's on, and I'll go, what's going on? And then I'm going to change this from embedded to legacy because I like working with the material that I bring in and having it named correctly into the materials folder. So I'm going to go like that and say apply real quick. And then if we look in my materials folder now, then you should be able to see a chapel, the material that I made for it. And then if we come to Skybox, we'll see that this is set up as a cube. Oh, it isn't either. So we're going to change this to a cube map like that. And just we're going to change it to 4K because it's a 4K texture. I got this texture at HDRI Haven. It's a great website. So we're going to come back into Geo. We're going to take half chapel and throw it into the scene. That's the first thing we do. And if we look at it, it looks like the half chapel. It looks like a Unity scene. Nothing big going on here. There's no craziness going on here. There's a couple things I probably want to set up first. I want to set up my camera. I'm going to make sure my gizmos are on at this point. So my camera is facing the wrong direction, which is fine. We're going to face it in the right direction real quick. I like to set up my camera first just to get an idea of where everything is. I'm going to move this in a little bit so we can see now that I'm looking through the doorways, which are over here. And then we're going to do the directional light too because it's off to the back because I built it at 000. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that and move my light to the front. It doesn't really matter where it is in the environment, but I know that I'm always going to be looking out the front door, like through this camera kind of view. So I want to have that light where I can see it, and usually I bring it into the environment, make sure it's in a visible place, so when I go inside and I start looking at it, I can see it. That's the only reason I'm doing it. It really only matters where the rotation of the direct light is, but for our purposes it's good. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that camera, and I'm going to go to Game Object and say Align View with Selected. So whatever I click now, it's going to snap me to that camera view. I can still move it around. It's not moving my camera, but at least it gets me to the right position to start with, and then we'll come back and tweak it. All right, for now, I'm going to turn off all this stuff. So I'm just not even going to turn them off. I'm just going to turn off the gizmos so I don't have to see them. Actually, I do want to do one more thing. I'm going to rotate this light so the light is coming through the door like that. Okay, more or less. I wanted part of the light to come through here and then the light from the ceiling up there to come in. So I'm going to turn off my gizmos. I'm going to make sure that I have my outline not selected. Okay, so that's it. That's the big thing. The texture should be on the object. If we look at the object in here or we look at it in here, we should see that the standard's in here. The thing we'll need to do is add the materials to it. So I'm going to go to white on this. So the material is white on the object, our textures to it. And one other thing that I usually do is I have two inspectors and they're right side by side. So I can lock one, especially when I'm grabbing materials. It makes it a little easier. I can grab that, come over to this one, and this is again a duplicate of the same thing. Geo, textures. And I can just throw my texture in here. I'm going to throw my normal map right here. And it's not fixed right now, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I want to come inside of here, select the texture in my project folder, and just come up here and change it to a normal map. And then It's fine for the map size. I think that's about right. I'll say apply. And then I can come back to my material and it shouldn't have that error anymore. So now you can kind of see the normal working in there. But again, this is all just set up inside of the Unity vanilla. So just a 3D project, there's no HDRI. Let's make it HDRI. So to get this to work, the first thing I need to do is I need to go to my window and I need to go to my package managers, and I'm going to look in here. Since I'm in 2019.3.12 F1, it automatically loads everything up. If you're in a different version, it's not going to load it up. And I also suggest you don't use this tutorial. There's a lot changed between 2019.2 and 3. It's a lot of refinement. It's not like it's crazy, but some of the things I say may not matter, and I'll point some of those out. So I'll click on this high definition RP render pipeline and just say install. And it's going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause it and come back. Okay, it's done, and as soon as it's done, you can see here, see that it's right under here. As soon as it's done, it comes up with this, because there's a bunch of stuff that's still not set up. Just because we brought it in doesn't mean that anything in here is set up for the HDRP. So we're just going to click the awesome options they have right here called Fix All. And we're going to fix them. And it's going to come up with these options, these pop-ups that say create one, and you say yes, create one. It's going to ask if you just want to do a standard. It's going to set up some basic packages. Yeah, just go ahead and say create one. And then it's going to ask again, create one. And then it's done. But as we can see, and I'm going to go ahead and close the package manager. As we can see, everything is pink. Anyway, it comes up this color. And in Unity, this is the error color. This means your materials or textures are broken somehow. Cool thing is, and the reason it is happening is because we did change everything, but we didn't change the standard material. All it's doing is setting up all the settings inside of your HDRP, but it's not set up the material. So we just need to say upgrade project materials to high definition materials. Like that, proceed, bam, and they're working. And just real quick, if you don't have this up or you close it somehow or it crashes and you have it all set up and you need to get it back, you just come over to window and say render pipeline, and there it is again. So you can always get back to it. I just don't want you to think that's the only time it shows up. Okay, so now we've got our environment, but it looks weird, right? Well, that's the material. It did a default change to the material, and I don't have a lot in here. There's a lot more we could do this material, but I'm just doing some basic setup here. And really all you need to do is turn this sucker to like 0.7 or 6 or something, and that's where you're getting that metal slap feel right there. So you do that, and then you do your smoothness. You can turn it up, or you can just keep it kind of low like that. You want some reflectivity, but not 100%, and you'll be tweaking these things as we go. Okay, and that's how you get the HDRP in. Now let's set up the lighting and get everything else set up. What I need to do is now make the HDRI information in here, like put the image in the background and stuff that we've imported in, and then do some post-processing effects. So to do that, first we need to come in here and say volume, and then we come down to sky and fog. This is what used to be the scene settings, but now it's sky and fog volume. And as you can see, we get something like this. So we just need to come in and do some messing around inside of here. So what you'll see is, first off, it's physically based lighting. So it's a really cool thing, but we aren't going to use it right now. So we're going to come back in here and change the physically based lighting on the sky and fog to HDRI sky. Okay, and it'll do this bleach out thing for a second. And then we get it back to this. Okay, so we have the HDRI in there, but we don't really have a place to put the map. So what do we have to do? Well, we have this little thing here called Add Override. So we're going to push that Add Override button, and then we're going to come down to Sky, and we're going to come down to HDRI Sky. And here's a weird thing about this whole UI inside of here. They have this grayed out all and none, and everything else is grayed out with it. It looks to me like it's all grayed out. You can't do anything with it, but you can. You just have to click on the gray button that says all, and then it works. So now we have all these options available to us. So you have to click on the bullseye thing right here and then come up and say Peller Drive 4K, and then we're in. Okay, so it's working right there. We want to turn the exposure to 6 to start with, so it gets us a little bit more reasonable. We're going to rotate this to 250 because I want it to be a little bit darker and the light coming from this direction and feel like it's nighttime. It's actually a nighttime setting. And we're going to turn the fog off right now because we can see there's our shot, but we want to take that and turn the fog off, and there it is. Ignore the weirdness in the background there. Now the next thing you have to do is add a post process, and it used to be
you could do it in a different way. But now they put it inside of volume, and they actually have it called global volume, which I don't like. So I click on it, and I'm going to rename it post process, like that. Okay, so we have this post process in there. Nothing seems to have changed. There's really nothing going on. And if we look here, there's nothing happening here. Well, before we can even do anything for it, we need to make a new one. So we're just going to click on new, and it'll automatically fill in that spot. And then just like we did inside the sky and volume, we're going to go ahead and click the add override. And in here, we're going to add a few things. We're going to add exposure, that. We're going to add ambient occlusion. We're going to add tone mapping. We're going to add bloom. Just those four for now. You can see that there's a ton to add in here, and we can do more, but we're just going to start with these. And we're going to turn them all on by clicking all, and all. So they're all on, okay? And it gets brighter and stuff. Don't worry about that. We haven't set them yet. First off, we're going to change this fixed exposure to be something like 3 or 4. So what exposure does is actually the opposite of the other. It doesn't multiply how much you put it in, but it actually changes how it is done across the object. So I'm just going to start with 3. Let's just do 3.5. We get a little bit darker. We want it to feel like night. That feels a little bit better. We're going to come down to ambient occlusion. And I like ambient occlusion because it seems to ground everything to the objects next to it. So if I click on this intensity, you'll see that now I get shadows in the little crevices and stuff. And you can do it as much as you like. I think I set mine to like 2 or 3, so somewhere in the middle. In fact, we'll just do 2.5. Okay, and that's actually too dark for me, so I'm going to say 2. You want it to ground it, but not just overtake the shadows. And then we're going to do tone mapping, and in tone mapping, we're going to change this to ACES. And then we're going to come to bloom, and we're going to change the intensity. And we're going to change the intensity to something like 0.25. And what you'll see is if I do it by hand, you'll see it blurs out everything, kind of blooms it. So I'm just going to leave it at 0.25 for now. Like this. Oh, that's definitely not at 0.25. And then I'm going to do the same for the one, maybe 0.1 for this. What this does is it bleaches, it spreads it all out. So we're going to do something like, yeah, we'll just do 0.25 on this too. And we're going to have to come back and change these. So I just want to put that out there. There's always changing. We're always going to be dancing with this. So just get used to it. Okay. So now the next thing we need to do is tweak it to get it to where we want. Now remember, this is supposed to be a night scene. And in the night scene, it's probably still a little bit too dark, but we're going to add secondary lights, and we want it to feel like it's coming from the sky. You know, and we're going to tweak stuff. So I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to hide this and go to this and see if I like a different view of the sky here. Say maybe something like that. I have this telephone wires. I'm not crazy about this, but that'll work for today. Then I'm going to come back in here and maybe change the exposure to 7 just to get a little bit more even lighting across the surface of it, like that. And then I'm going to find that position I like here. I wanted to get a little bit of this on the side over here and a little bit of that, and then also some over here. Okay, real quick, I did some little tweaking. This is what we do. We tweak around. So I came in here and looked at the ambient occlusion, changed that, do the fixed exposure down to 2.5, and then messed with, instead of doing the only fixed exposure, I turned this down to 6 instead of 7. And that's it. Then we come back in and we tweak. We just tweak. We come back to our fog and volume. I'm going to turn this off and hide it so it doesn't hopefully keep coming up. Put our fog back in right here. And it's too much, so we'll say all again, of course. And actually, let's not do all. Let's say none, and then enable, and then fog distance and base height. And yeah, so we'll just play with that, and we'll say fog distance. We're going to turn this up to like 5K. 50 is too much, so we'll do 15K. There we go. And then we're going to say our base height, so it raises it up or lowers it down. We want it a little bit lower, so we still get that fogging off. Okay, and maximum height's not, that's fine. So there we got that. The next thing we're going to do is add some more lights inside of here. So really, I'm just doing some artistic decisions at this point.
So I could keep tweaking this. I can keep coming back and forth and messing with the lighting and all this stuff. And this is what I would do. But just to get through this real quick, I want to add a couple more lights. So I come inside of here, right click, and I say light, and we're going to do a point light. I'm going to say move tool. I'm going to move it up, and you can see there it popped in. And we're going to name this one, and I messed that up here. Let me do the game object line with view, and then we'll do this. And the other option is to do something. I want something that's kind of like this. So I see a bunch of the sides, and to give me some framing here, like that. And then what we can do is we can grab that camera and say align to view, and now our camera is going to always be at this position. Anyway, back to the light. We'll take this and we'll move it over to this corner over here. I really don't need to see the light. I'm not going to actually give it a flame, but I just want to move it to this position. I'm going to click on it twice slowly so it doesn't select it and move me to it, and say left hall light, or something that makes sense to you. I'm going to change this to an orange and pull that orange really in there. I'm going to move this up higher too real quick. And then I'm going to turn on the shadows, and then I'm going to change that, of course, to ultra. And then I'm going to change this to like 14.5 or something like that. And then I want to turn my lumens up to 8K. Oops. I want to turn it up pretty bright so I can get, again, we're doing a narrative thing now. And then I'm going to move it so I don't see that highlight, so it's not sucked up right against the wall. But now I get this nice fall off. And if I push this out, I may be able to see how it bleeds onto the floor a bit more. So it's up to you how far you want it to go. But I like to keep it narrow. This means the air is thicker and you get less push. And again, you can turn this down if you really want to. We're going to copy. I'm going to select this in here, copy, and then paste it. And then I'm going to just move it to the other side. And it's off camera too. And we'll just call this one, we'll change it from left to right. Oh, I'm gonna get rid of the one too. And that's what I did. This is pretty much, now it's just time to tweak and make it look good for yourself, for your eyes. I put another light down here, so I would just say copy this one and then paste it again and then move it. Well, let's move it out and then down and then off camera. And then I can turn it, because I know the camera's set to the right position, and just put it down in this alcove down here a little bit. Something like this. And then I'm also probably going to turn this one down. I just want to look at it from that camera view. So I'm going to go back, select the camera, game object. I could just throw the main screen up there at the top or something to look at. All I'm trying to do at this point is take this right here. So this is the game view. So I'll put this for now right here. So I can get it to be square. Then I'll move inside of here to change it up. Okay. If it lets me. I've got a narrow place to work. So I'll move it over. I really kind of want to see more of this out here, and I want to see that shadow. So we'll do this back to here again, and see, now we get that nice look to it. The other things I did is I had some, and then I'll call this lower light or something. The other thing I did is I made a few more lights around the area. That's all I did. If we want to look at it in the other view that I have over here, just because we're doing real time at this point, we're not baking anything, so we don't have any bleeding, we don't have a lot of it, we have some of it, but it's more simple. But if I look at the one I had before, which is really close to where we are right now, and then I turn on the gizmos, you can see that there's these lights. That's the skylight. These are the other lights, and I just kind of wanted to say wherever it hit, I wanted to pull out a little bit more light from it, you know, to make it feel like it's bleeding into the world. This is like how you would fake light a lot of stuff if you could in the game environment. So, you know, I moved this over so I get a little bit more blue. So if you take this off, you notice I also darkened it up. If I take these four off again and just hide them, that's what it looks like before. Oh, it looks like, wait, just these three, not those four. That's what it looks like
that's what it looks like without the blues. The blues just add that little bit to it, and it'd be me tweaking, and most lighting artists tweak for just the subtlest changes. The subtlest changes mean, they may not seem like a lot, but they mean a lot when you see them in the environment. You can turn off the gizmos again here. So with them off, with them on, and with them off, just a little slight thing you'll never notice in the game, but it makes it feel better. So that's all there is to it. Go ahead and do your best, and I will see you on the other side.